trading today? Did anyone have trouble?
No.
Well, I would say today's probably one of the worst days you could have traded. So hopefully, guys, if you had trouble, that's probably why. And I'll show you why.
Yeah, it was rough.
So today, if you guys looked at it, and I gave you guys a plan last night on a higher time frame and a longer time frame. Did anyone read it and understand it or not understand it?
Makes sense.
Yeah, it was pretty clear.
Yeah. So the idea that we had, right, is we said if we dip below the PD value area low and then we reclaim it, that's an easy long. But the problem you had today, right, when you look at the value areas, right? So let me find my pointed this out a few times today. Where did my right there? So if you look at the value area for today, it's 12 points, guys. We're not used to this, right? We're not conditioned for this based on the recent market behavior, right? I mean, even if you look at this day, which was consolidating, is about 35. Let's not talk about some of the days where we had a lot more volatility, right? So today's, price action that we saw indicates what in terms of market? What is market telling you?
Undecided.
Yeah.
Undecided. And anything else?
There's no other time frame participants.
It's
Okay.
balanced.
It's balanced, it's undecided, and it's just awaiting more information, correct? Because when you're in balance, that means you're accepting the prices, you're happy trading here. And if you're happy trading here, it doesn't mean you're going to be happy trading there tomorrow. And typically, and if you guys go on like SVP, it looks even worse. Let me see if I can just change this so you guys can see it. Look at the SVP. I mean, volume and time concentrated heavily here, which indicates who was in control today.
Me. Just the short term time.
Yeah, today was the short-term traders and control of the price action, right? We went, above it, they rejected it. We went below it, they quickly bought it back up. And you guys also had some, if you guys remember the single prints that were left here, they came back and they basically tested those. I was hoping that they did something like this, where they went below the axis on the bottom, that they reclaimed this and then looked for opportunity to go long. But they didn't do that, right? Then, when they stopped and they bounced, it's pretty clear that most likely we're going to be trading within the range. And considering, I believe, JPOW is tomorrow. Let's see. So we have PPI. I thought he was speaking tomorrow. Tomorrow. So he's speaking around 8:40, right before the markets, right? And then I believe Friday is the OPEX as well. So this week might have a punch. And I think with this imbalance here, with this balance that we have, I would personally feel comfortable go with the breakout. I would say tomorrow, most likely, you're going to have an IB3X type of day. It's going to be a trend day tomorrow. I would say very high odds that you're going to have a trend day tomorrow. And the way I would play it is I would just, if you're not familiar with this, I would just take the 2 days balance. You can extend this and see where it lands, and I will play the breaks of it, right? You go above it, give you a retest, go long, and proceed. You do have a poor high here from the day prior that we haven't fixed yet, sitting around 27. So I would definitely take that, drive it, and then ultimately you could even use some fibs here if you're not familiar with the levels around. But there is a level around 34.75 that you guys should be aware. Does anyone know what that level is right in this range?
Isn't that the sell-off in February?
Yep. So if you guys go on your you go on your PVP, and I like to look at this on the first. I look at on a weekly sometimes just to see the profiles, and this is why I highlighted this particular level. So let me give you this. You're gonna go 2 hours. It doesn't really change much on 60 on the weekly here. Okay. So when you guys look at this, right, I just want to make sure you guys are following. Perfect balance that we had, I would say here, if you guys look, this was a perfect balance that we had right about here, correct? We're in balance. They dipped below, they brought it back up, they established a couple of times hits, and then you had this basically profile is the one that caused what? If this is our balance, then you're watching for this profile here to be what? That's the one driving the imbalance, right? That's the one that maybe got the news or got the heads up like, hey, we're going to go auction lower. And that's what happens. So what I like to do whenever that happens is I want to find where's the value of that one. Because if that's the value and they can get inside of it, well, eventually, if they get inside of this, they're probably going to knock on top of this value as well. But if they can't get inside of here, that means the seller here is pretty adamant and he does not believe the values here. Therefore, most likely we're going to auction lower. So now when you look at this, let's just look at it on 4 hours. What do you guys see in terms of, like, if you guys look at this BRVP here on the right, is it easier for them to go up or down at this point?
Down.
Take a look. Look where we are. And look here. So you're in the LVN right here. If you look, there's a little bit of LVN. That's where we're sitting. So there's probably a higher chance that they might take a little step back, and then I would not bet so much that everybody's right now seems to be bearish. And when I say everybody, I'm just reading off of Twitter what people are posting. A lot of people seem very bearish, right? Oh, market, retraced a lot, blah, blah, blah. The market doesn't care, right? If there's buyers and they're willing to pay for it, most likely they're going to continue. But if you look at this right now, if you just zoom in at the top and this LVN, look what happens. And, this is that level that we had, the red zone on the chart. This was the LVN. If you guys look here, this is literally the level that's separating what? Why is this one so important?
The penthouse.
Yeah, this is the one that separates us from the penthouse, right? So if you guys look here, this is the one. I'm just going to make this smaller, I guess, again. So this is the same split here that's causing us not to be trading above. If they're able to get in above, right, then there's a very, very high chance that most likely we're going to continue higher. And I would anticipate that you're probably going to go, there's a monthly VPOC somewhere around here, around 86 or so. So this is a really, really critical zone now. And if they're to auction lower, where do you think they could go to? Just based on the profile. Let's say you lose this value area of 53, 58, 53, where could you go?
5740, 660.
Yeah, you're looking to see if they're going to be happy trading then in this zone, right? When they get back to this value right here, right? This one right here. Are you happy trading? Obviously, they had a lot of volume in here, but in the big scheme of things, right? When you zoom out a little bit and then you look at it, how big is that up top?
Not big.
And there's not much there, right? Relative to the rest of the market, right? A lot of value was created here, and unfortunately, we never really retested anything here. So I'm not saying this happens, but something like 2008, what happened then, if it was to happen now, that would be doable in my opinion. Because I think the exposure right now for macro is probably 30 times more or even 50 times more than what we've had in 2008. Everybody following so far?
Yep.
Okay. And this is your weekly profile that's building right now. Is weekly profile telling you anything here?
I like it up top. Double distribution.
You have a double distribution. You went to the value area high. You failed to make the value area high. And a lot of volume that you had, now the price action is below it. So if you break tomorrow the low, where do you think you can go?
He goes quickly to the value
Yeah,
area low.
58 bucks. Yeah, right there.
I mean, it would be a pretty quick drop. And, you know, this, guys, this is not that big of a drop. This was our opening range for past 3-4 weeks, right? You get 40 points. I mean, look at this. So I would not be shocked if we retest this tomorrow and then you catch some people off sides and you go along. But I would play the break tomorrow, whatever way they break. There's a high chance they're just going to continue, especially if it's, you know, in the first hour and a half that it happens. I would just go with it. And if it doesn't work out, it's a fake. Just, you know, manage your loss. I would say find the level where you can take that short and hide behind the shelf, or, you know, if you have any footprints around it. But tomorrow I would anticipate a really, really massive trend day. Based on this here, and if you guys just combine these profiles, this is going to look very interesting now. That's the only thing we have left on a weekly here. And for anyone new that you know why I circled that or why I drew that zone.
The single print.
Yeah, single print and indicates what?
Separation of value.
Yeah, it's a clear separation of value. So that means if we were to break this level here, there's a high chance that you're going to be visiting this 52 and ultimately, you know, all the way to 43. But I would be closing majority of my stuff probably here if I was to take this short below. And there's probably a chance that they're going to come to this level tonight here. And that's where our access is on the daily, if you guys remember, right? Remember this a moments ago?
Yep.
Right. So I would think there's a very high chance we're going to tap this tonight here. And if it does happen tonight, what do you think I would do here?
Look for longs.
This might be a long here, guys, overnight. If they give this long here, it's not a bad long. I'll take it. I will leave an order there. No, this is not very
Why?
aggressive selling.
Why,
sorry?
Sri? Why would you go long there when we're thinking it's going to go to the bottom?
I didn't say it would go to the bottom. I said if they crack below this, then there's a high chance they would go to the bottom. The first tap here, we haven't been here before. This is where the emotional buyer showed up, and now you're just coming back to it. You're baiting people here long. Look at the wicks on the top. Like every candle has wick, every candle has a wick. So a lot of longs here. There's too many longs here. So what's the best way to kill them? Well, first, it might be that we dip here, reclaim, and that would be a long, right? Then you would take the long here. I would take this one on the first tap tonight.
Okay.
I would go long because this is just a double distro setup, right? And then if they go a dip below, you're looking to drive this all the way to the bottom here, 87 to 53, which would be pretty good, 30 something points. Does that make sense to all?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you.
What would
Pretty-
be your stop for your long setup there though?
If I was to take this long, I would target this POC here. Probably around 908, about 21 points.
You said your stop. What would be your stop?
The stop, I'll probably go somewhere, whatever this high is here, slightly below it. So that'll be 10 points. That'll be 2 to 1. I'll probably give it maybe 7 points. So somewhere around here.
Got you. Thank you.
And you can also find 50% of this candle here and hide behind that. So somewhere around here, you could do that. That'd be exactly 10 points. So somewhere maybe 75, 25, and then you can move it up a little bit if it starts going in your direction. Just to keep it 3-1. So it would be something like,
Shorty, considering the value area low is not that far away, right? I mean, we just said 30 points.
Mhm.
And you said you expect a strong trend day.
Mhm.
It's either because the IB is going to be tight tomorrow, or we're going to just blast through, right? Because 30 points not much.
oh yeah, we're gonna blast out of this tomorrow. I would say there's very high chance you're gonna have, and when I say IB3X, whatever the IB is tomorrow, I think there's a very strong chance you're gonna reach the extreme. That would have meant like 58.46 today, just based on this value. That was, or I'm sorry, initial balance. And upside would have been about 50, well, 6,000, close 6,000. So tomorrow, whatever that balance is, I would still expect us to open within the value. And then we're going to see if we dip, like let's say we dip below the 2-day value and we reclaim it. That's going to be probably the best long you're going to have. Or go above it, lose it, and then look for a short. That would be a nice one as well. It just depends, if by any chance we get any movement. I don't know if I said 840 or 940 when he's speaking. Oh, he's speaking before market opens. So there's a high chance you're going to have an overnight move. That's, before cash open, it's going to be volatile. The first reaction to rate cuts is going to be bullish, or market's going to react to it like, let's go higher. I don't think that would sustain or would stay there. Because I think some of the banks are probably hurting right now. If you guys checked your 10-year bond or yields, here goes. Here's your yield on 10. It's at 4.53% right now. And April, we had it at around 4.59. So this is pretty big here. I mean, 4.8 was the recent highs in January. And then you guys know how market did in January as well. So here's your January here, and that's basically where they started the collapse.
Very question.
Mhm.
If somebody or the borrowers stop paying their mortgages, likely chances it's gonna be like 208.
I would say so, right? And I know they implemented some protections, right, for that stuff, but the liquidity that it would take to cover everyone would be substantial, and I don't know if we have that much, to cover. And a lot of banks are hurting on their bond portfolios now. Add mortgages and all that. Well, now they're in a really bad position.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but I think it's bigger than mortgages, honestly. I think your biggest problems are, I think, of course, you have the revolving credits. They're pretty much maxed out. You have the delinquencies on cars are like 2008 high. And then you also have, I would say the CRE loans are massive right now. And they need to lower the rates so people can refinance that. But I don't know how you lower the rates. I mean, that's what Trump is trying, right? He's really, really trying to lower the rates because it would also help for borrowing money with the banks, lower interest rates and so on, as well as the bond that they're holding on to. I think they're going to have to cut rates, unfortunately, but that's not going to be pretty good for the market. And I am looking probably to build some TLT position here. Just FYI, I'm going to start looking at it tomorrow.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to do a stop run there. I mean, imagine the amount of stops right
Oh,
under this stop.
Oh my God! I wouldn't be shocked if they dip it below, slightly below 80, actually. But I'm going to start building a position here. I don't trust equities over the bonds right now. So I'm gonna start doing that, and you probably do some far out calls as well. But I'll definitely start doing a position in this. I know UNH got dumped really hard. Wow.
Yeah, after hours it just died.
Oh man, $70 drop after hours. What in the world did they do?
Well, there's an investigation. Somebody just posted in the Discord here. And their CEO quit a couple of days ago. They have financial issues going on. It's like 50% drop from the all-time high. It's at 2018 level right now.
Supposedly, somebody was steering people to certain health insurance companies. They Social Security, they were cheating and just sending people to certain ones, and they got found out.
Yeah, there's a very high chance this is headed to 160. I remember when we were adding this somewhere around 200s, 250s. I forgot the level, but wow. I mean, since 2009, you're talking about 4,300% on a stock, right? Pretty wild. And that's a lot of selling, guys. This volume here is, I don't think you want to start buying this just yet. If I was to buy this, I would look more towards, you just got inside this value here as well. And even if you extend this guy to the right, I don't think it's going to change much. So you're talking about somewhere around 240 something, 245. And then ultimately you would have somewhere around 108. But I would think that, there's going to be some support between like here. This will be decent support, but I'm not going to touch it. Won't touch any of this. Any particular stocks? Somebody asked me for a stock. I just forgot what it was. Some kind of bank of Montreal. BAM? Was it BAM?
Yeah,
No.
BMO.
BMO.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So there's a trick that I do sometimes when I tell you like, would I buy it here? Some of you guys know this, right? From being here. So the question I usually ask people is like, hey, what do you think about the stock? 20 years back, it was at $9. Right now, you would be buying 10x of that company. I would also ask you, have their earnings, revenue, profits gone 10x from here to here? And then are you willing to pay the premium? Because they haven't really given you a pullback yet. The only pullback you had was in 2009 and then 2020. And here you would have gotten a really nice discount, right? At $38. That's pretty good. But other than that, for me personally, I would not buy it here. Is there a chance that this is going to run to 124? Yeah, certainly there's a chance, right? But I would not buy it. I'm a value investor. I don't find this that good of a deal. And I'm sure they have dividends too, so. Yeah, definitely not here. And why not here? This is the weekly PVP.
Overvalued.
Well, I mean, I'm buying above the value, right? You don't want to be a buyer above the value. You want to be a seller above the value. Let's see. So 102. I would watch for this range here actually for probably a fall. 102, 104. This one really took off. Do you guys remember us talking about Delta? When it fell and was at the monthly bottom, it was on our scans. Pretty good return on. All right. Well, any questions on ES or anything else? Any stocks you guys need?
How's your family doing?
They're doing much better finally. We're able to go to Costco and spend almost $1,000 on groceries. The inflation is doing great. We bought a lot of snacks that we've never had before. But yeah, family's doing good. Thank you for asking. Yeah, the kids are no longer puking everywhere. It was literally a puking contest at my house. You just see them running one after another. I don't know what they had, but it was pretty bad.
Oh, good. They're okay.
Yeah, they're doing better. Yeah, they're a bunch of champs, and it seems like they're craving sweets all of a sudden. Every single one of them is after chocolate.
They'll be hyper.
I just let them run at Costco. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. I would say please be careful trading in the morning, right, till J Powell is done talking, because you might regret it if you do, because there's gonna be a big move overnight, and I would definitely watch the single prints that we had around 87 here, like right here, I believe 87 and a quarter. I'll keep an eye on that. Somewhere around here.
Somebody in the chat is asking for ARM, ARM.
Right, let's see. Yeah, nope. No, definitely not. Not for me. Yeah, I wouldn't want to buy here. It was pretty good at 70s. I mean, it almost doubled here. And you're talking about 70%. Is this a chip company or what was this? Yeah, I would not buy it here. Cream. Whirlpool looks actually a pretty good spot. If you guys remember, we wanted it closer at 62, but I don't know. It's actually not a bad spot for Whirlpool now. I would just say stay patient if you're not in it. I think there's a chance we'll get 53. But it's probably monthly bottom quarterly here as well. Just looking at timeline, this is a level since you're talking about 2020 and then 2012. Last time we traded before that, so it's a big level here. And you see them trying to defend this balance here to the upside. Probably a good buy here for a really long-term hold. Schlubin, so regarding, the PPI and CPI, when they do come out, there's been a lot of, I would say, not manipulation, but adjustments lately, with gas, with oil, and, you look at, corn futures, for instance. So if you look at corn futures here for a moment, they dropped and then the price went up again. Then if you look at any other commodities are actually looking to bounce here. I don't think we've seen the impact of tariffs yet. Even the 3 months that, let's say 2 months that we got impacted by is not going to be reflected in this CPI PPI report. That's going to be reflected in the next one. And when I think about all the news that's been happening, what else can Trump say on tariffs to pump the market up? What else can he say?
Everything is beautiful.
Well, we made a deal with China. That's why we dropped. What else can he make a deal that squeezes the market higher?
He gets rid of them.
World peace.
Well, I don't think we can get rid of them completely, the tariffs. And that would make him look weak as well, right? When you think about just the perception.
Well, interest rate has to go down.
Yeah, interest rates has to go down, but you know, from arsenal of news that he had before with one tweet, China deal, no China deal, he moved the markets quite a bit. I mean, you're talking about trillions of dollars being wiped. I don't think he has that same power, and the market's actually moving forward, right? With the data. The only thing that he could bring the market down is if he said, "Hey, never mind, China's not playing. We're going back to, I don't know, 150, 200% tariffs." But in terms of bullishness, I don't know if he has a lot of arsenal to keep driving it up. Right now, what could drive the market up, if you guys look at, for instance, SPX. If you guys look at SPX, right, these are the last. They're just going 7 days. So if you look at the SPX, right, we're not too far, probably from all-time. I would say probably less than 5%, if even. Yeah, you're 4% from all-time high. What could happen here, and the best way they could drive it, is if there's a lot of weak shorts now. When you bring in a lot of weak shorts, what they end up doing is actually they propel the market. When they get caught, let's say this is a balance here that they have, and you're shorting here, they go up, and then they have to buy to cover, buy to cover, buy to cover, and eventually they drive it till the real excess is found. And we haven't seen the excess yet, guys. We haven't found access on ES yet. You will know when there's presence of access. I mean, you haven't really found that yet. You guys just look at the profiles. There's not really much indicating that we found anything, right? If anything, maybe there's some buyer's exhaustion, which we saw, right, with the TPOs here, with the failed auction, but I'm pretty certain they're coming to fix it. And that's why I said, give me 87. I'll take that long, because I would target even, potentially the poor high fix, which would be a hell of a trade, right? 87 to 927, that would be pretty good. So you could leave some runners there and go from there. But in terms of news, I think they're losing the power right now. I think the market's starting to kind of read through it. And a lot of banks and a lot of hedge funds, they're calling recession high odds, 60, 50%. And all of a sudden, they're no longer calling recession. What changed between now and last week or 4 weeks? An agreement changed that we are going to go back on tariffs to a certain number, but that hasn't even played out yet. What about people that bought, stuff from China in the past 4 or 5 weeks with high tariffs? They get a refund? What do they do with inventory that's highly overpriced? They have to pass that to consumer. Like, there's so much complexity, guys, in supply chain that's not going to be fixed just by Trump saying, "Oh, no tariffs."
Well, it seems like he's pivoting from tariff to external investment, countries investing in this country. Was it $1 trillion from some Middle East country that he announced today or yesterday?
Did you guys actually read what he said?
No, I just saw a blurb of it.
Let me show you.
But everything now is longer term. The tariff announcements are short term impact, but now everything as a result of the tariffs will be long term, whether it's manufacturing move back into the United States.
Yeah. So this is who said threat. They said Qatar is going to put in $1.2 trillion investment in the U.S. This is Qatar's GDP. So you're saying they're going to do 6 times the GDP in U.S. investment?
Same goes for Saudi Arabia. They don't even have the money that they're investing in the US.
You can't invest 6 times the GDP, guys. I mean, it's impossible. I mean, yeah, like something doesn't total there. They said 1.2 trillion. You have to read and understand it. Yes, I'm sure people are going to invest, right? But what kind of investments are we talking about? Saudi Arabia just purchased I think it was $150 billion, but they bought weapons from the United States. Is that the investments, or like what kind of investments? Are we going to build fast trains here and they're investing in that? Like, what kind of investments are we talking about? And that's where it gets a little tricky, right? Understanding what actually investment means. And I agree. I'm sure countries are going to pour dollars, especially if the tariffs are their threat, to offset that. But what if every other country says, "Screw that! We'll just do it for cheaper and not sell to you if you don't want it"? Other countries could play, get together and play the ball against US, which you could see happening, right? And if you go back in history, this is nothing new, right? This is just a cycle. So we'll see. I mean, either Trump wins, strongholds the rest, just because the US dollar and reserve currency, I think that's really the upper hand that we have over any other country in the world. But this is just the beginning, guys. I don't think this war of currency and power is not over yet. I don't think China would just fold like that to US, considering they're the biggest manufacturer. Of course, we're the biggest buyer. You don't buy, they don't manufacture, right? And you cause panic there, and I think it's the waiting game, see who's going to win. And if China's really giving up on US, I wonder what they're doing behind the closed doors. Are they looking for new buyers, looking for new regions like Africa? Because I think Brazil, Africa, and those type of countries are going to be the ones growing. A lot of companies, a lot of my friends that are in finance and other industries, they're all focused on Africa. Believe it or not, it's very underdeveloped, and you can bring some aspects of the get developed country processes and economies and stuff like that. You can start building that over there, and I think that's where the next market is going to go personally.
And I read somewhere that it's the only continent with a growing population.
It is, yeah. It is. And I don't think me and you look at it that we look at it as growing population. These big companies and countries look at it as growing buying power. You gotta teach them how to fish, and then eventually you'll pay off the dividends for them. So I think that's where it's going. But that's just my what I've read, what I understand, and I think it's headed that way anyways. I'm not sure what else you can add to some of these developed countries to make them run better and do better. Right now, maybe AI everywhere.
There's too much corruption.
It's very corrupt. I mean, I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. None of them give a shit about any of us. It's first their pockets, and then we come second. So, politics aside, right? People usually are the ones that are last on the list. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow. If you guys have a good night. Go actually straight to bed.
Have a good
Yeah,
one.
all right.
Thank you.